The shadows of Blackthorn Manor. The storm raged outside, a relentless howl of wind and rain battering the ancient walls of Blackthorn Manor. Inside, the flickering candlelight cast long, twisted shadows across the grand hall. The door creaked open slowly, and the sound echoed through the abandoned mansion as though the house itself was waking from a long, uneasy slumber. Lena Spencer, clutching a flashlight in one hand and her trembling phone in the other, stepped inside. She didn't want to be here, no one in their right mind would. But the old legends had called her back. The manor had been abandoned for over 50 years, ever since the mysterious death of the Blackthorn family. Rumors spread like wildfire about the strange happenings within these walls, the haunting whispers in the dead of night, the lights flickering even when no one was there. No one dared approach the place. Until now. Lena had grown up hearing the stories, each one more horrifying than the last. As a child, she dismissed them as old town gossip, superstitions meant to keep curious kids at bay. But tonight, she had a different reason for being here. Her brother, Mark, had gone missing a week ago, and his last known location had been here. Mark. Lena called, her voice breaking through the silence. Her heart raced as she ventured deeper into the manor. The air felt heavy, pressing against her chest. Something wasn't right. She could feel it in her bones. The hall stretched endlessly in every direction, lined with portraits of grim-faced ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow her every move. The floor creaked beneath her feet, but it wasn't just the old wood that made that sound. There was something else, something faint, like a whisper in the dark, barely audible but unmistakable. Lena's breath caught in her throat. Was she imagining it? No. It's real. A figure darted across the hallway ahead of her, disappearing into the shadows. Her heart skipped a beat. Mark? She called again, her voice trembling. She followed the fleeting silhouette down a narrow corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly. The air grew colder, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. Her flashlight flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Panic set in. The only sound now was the relentless beating of her heart and her ragged breathing. She fumbled for her phone, the dim light of the screen casting a weak glow on the walls. A chill ran through her as her phone vibrated, an unknown number, marked with a single, cryptic message, "Leave. They're watching." Lena's pulse quickened. She didn't have time to think about it. She needed to find Mark, and she needed to get out of here, fast. But something wasn't right. The hallways seemed to shift when she wasn't looking, as if the house itself was alive, twisting and turning around her. She could hear the faint echo of footsteps now, slow and deliberate, following her every move. She spun around, no one there. The cold, oppressive silence grew unbearable. Lena's fingers trembled as she tried to text Mark back, her eyes darting around the room. Then, the ground beneath her trembled slightly, as if the house had sighed in resignation. And then, the scream. It pierced the night, a shrill, agonized cry that sent waves of terror through Lena's body. It was coming from upstairs. With no more time to lose, she raced toward the staircase. Each step seemed to vibrate with an unnatural force, and the air grew denser, thicker. As she reached the top, the old wooden door at the end of the hall creaked open by itself, revealing a room at the far end, a room she recognized from childhood. The attic. But something was wrong. The floor was covered in an eerie, blackened substance. Was it soot? Or something worse? She stepped inside, her mind racing. In the center of the room, a figure stood, facing the wall. It was too still, too quiet. Mark? Lena whispered, barely able. The figure turned, revealing a face she barely recognized. It was Mark, but not Mark. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated, mouth frozen in a twisted grin that didn't belong to him. "You shouldn't have come here, Lena," Mark's voice echoed from his mouth, but it wasn't his voice. It was distorted, like a dozen voices layered over each other, each one more guttural than the last. Lena took a step back, her hands shaking. What happened to you? Mark's grin grew wider, impossibly wide, his face twisting in agony. They're coming. They never leave. Suddenly, the air grew unbearably cold, and the shadows in the corners of the room seemed to shift and move, coalescing into dark, formless figures that reached for her. Lena screamed, but no sound came out. She turned to flee, but the door slammed shut before she could make it. The last thing Lena saw before everything went black was the distorted face of her brother, his eyes pleading for help, and yet, there was nothing left of him but the thing wearing his skin. And then, silence. Somewhere in the distance, Blackthorn Manor stood still, as it always had, waiting for its next victim. The shadows had claimed another.